Chapter 9. Welcome to today's lesson on the Ruy Lopez exchange variation, Hector Gambit. In our previous exchange variation lessons, we studied ideas with 5 knight c3. Today we shift our focus to white's main line choice, 5 castle kingside e4. White begins with the king pawn, taking space and opening lines e5. Black replies symmetrically, meeting central space with central space. Knight f3. White develops the knight and immediately attacks the e5 pawn. Knight c6. Black develops the queen knight and protects the e5 pawn. Bishop b5. White plays bishop b5. This is the Ruy Lopez, increasing pressure on the knight that defends e5. a6. Black asks the bishop a direct question with a6. Bishop takes c6. White exchanges on c6. Now we are in the exchange variation family. D-pawn takes c6. Black recaptures with the d-pawn. Black gets the bishop pair and open lines, while white damages the pawn structure. Castle kingside. Here is today's shift. Instead of the earlier 5 knight c3 ideas, white chooses the main line move, castle's kingside. Bishop g4. Black plays bishop g4, pinning the knight and asking white how much kingside space white is willing to take. h3. White plays h3 and asks the bishop to make a decision. h5. If black plays h5 here, that is the Hector Gambit. It is important to recognize, but it is outside today's lecture. Bishop h5. For the Hector Gambit, black keeps the bishop on the diagonal with bishop h5. g4. White pushes g4, gaining space but also loosening the king shelter. Bishop g6. Black retreats the bishop to g6. The bishop remains active and white's kingside pawns are already advanced. Knight takes e5. Now white takes on e5. This is the starting position of the Ruy Lopez exchange variation, Hector Gambit. White has won a pawn, but white has paid with h3 and g4 in front of the king. Bishop takes e4. Before studying black's best practical idea, remove one bad temptation. Bishop takes e4 is greedy. Pause here and find white's punishment. Rook e1. The answer is rook e1. Black's bishop on e4 becomes loose, and the king in the center makes the position tactically dangerous for black. e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop b5, a6, bishop takes c6, d-pawn takes c6, castle kingside, bishop g4, h3, bishop h5, g4, bishop g6, and knight takes e5. Back to the Hector starting position. Black's serious practical choices are queen h4, f6, and bishop d6. In part 1, we focus deeply on queen h4. The f6 and bishop d6 lines are for the next parts. Queen h4. Queen h4 is direct pressure. Black attacks h3, keeps the white king uncomfortable, and asks whether the extra pawn is worth the weakened king side. Queen f3. White usually answers with queen f3. The queen helps guard h3 and keeps contact with the king side. f6. Black plays f6, asking the knight on e5 to justify itself. Knight takes g6, and h-pawn takes g6. After knight takes g6 and h takes g6, black has lost the dark square bishop, but the h-file and the kingside pawn structure become part of black's compensation. King g2, and g5. This is one of the most important ideas in the line. Black plays g5, securing f4 and h4, and also preventing white from easily using bishop f4 later. d3, and knight e7. White plays d3, and black develops the knight to e7. The knight is not passive, it is heading toward active dark square outposts. Rook h1, and Queen h7. White puts the rook on h1. Black replies Queen h7, clearing h4 for a possible knight. The queen is not only attacking, it is making room for the pieces. King f1. King f1 is a quiet but important defensive move. White steps away from tactical forks and prepares to meet black's pressure more calmly. Castle queenside, bishop e3, and king b8. Black castles queenside, then plays king b8. This reduces queen f5 check ideas and makes it harder for white to force a favorable queen exchange. Knight d2, and queen g8. Queen g8 is a regrouping move. The queen keeps flexibility, protects the king side, and avoids allowing white to simplify too easily. Black's compensation is built by arranging pieces around the weakened dark squares. Knight c4, and knight g6. This structure was seen in Wesley So vs Atanas Kolev, World Open, 2012. Please refer to that game for the full continuation. It is a useful model for how black coordinates the queen, rook, and knight while white expands on the queen side. Queen f5, and rook h6. In the model game, black continued with knight g6 and rook h6. The rook lift joins the h-file pressure, while the knight eyes h4 and f4. a4, and bishop b4. White also has a plan. The move a4 starts queenside expansion, and bishop b4 interferes with white's coordination. This is not a one-way attack, both sides have real play. Queen f3, queen h7, king e2, and knight h4. Eventually the knight reaches h4. Now the earlier moves make sense, g5 controlled the square, queen h7 cleared it, and queen g8 kept the queen flexible until the h-file setup was ready. e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop b5, a6, bishop takes c6, d-pawn takes c6, castle kingside, bishop g4, h3, bishop h5, g4, bishop g6, knight takes e5, and queen h4. The key lesson is that the Hector Gambit is not just about winning or losing the e5 pawn. White gains material, but the moves h3 and g4 create dark square weaknesses. Black's queen h4 plan uses those weaknesses with g5, queen h7, king b8, and queen g8. In the next parts, we will study f6 and bishop d6.